Hi there, and thanks for taking time to watch this short results presentation from this year's Client Satisfaction Survey at Transform. My name's Chris Elliott, and I'm a client manager at TLF Research, who were commissioned by Transform to undertake this year's Client Satisfaction Survey. This year was the first time that TLF Research have partnered with Transform in conducting the Client Satisfaction Survey. And for this first year, the research was conducted over two phases. The first phase of research that we conducted was to explore and understand what was important to clients. And this valuable insight allowed us to create a customer satisfaction survey that focused on measuring and tracking client satisfaction with those important needs identified. And this presentation is going to give you at a high level an understanding of what is relatively most and least important to clients, where clients are most and relatively least satisfied, and most importantly, where Transform is relatively speaking least meeting the needs of the clients. In addition to these really important insights that I've just described, the data that we collect also allows us to create headline satisfaction metrics, such as the Weighted Satisfaction Index score. Headline metrics are also really useful when it comes to measuring and tracking satisfaction over the short, medium and long term. And it's this headline metric that I'm going to first highlight with you in the presentation. The headline index score is a weighted score that doesn't just consider how satisfied clients are with a range of factors, but also considers how relatively important each of those factors are. So when we see a number like 83.7%, this can often be misunderstood as the proportion of customers who are simply satisfied. The reality is that this is not the case, and it's actually a weighted score out of 10 that's expressed as a percentage. So if you want to make things simpler, you could just consider 83.7 as 8.37 out of 10. There are a number of things that we can do with headline metrics. One thing, which is what you can see here, is we can put the score in context with other organisations. And here we can see the index score for Transform that's benchmarked on our overall index league table that contains well over 1,000 entries from other organisations that we work with. And as we can see, the index score for Transform places it at the midpoint of the third quartile, shaded in yellow. Now, in addition to the index score, another popular headline metric that we measured was how easy Transform are to deal with. Although the ease question is a simple single score, we can do the same things with this headline metric as with the index. In this instance, benchmarking it against other organisations that also measure ease. Before we go into a little more detail in regards to the component parts of the index, I would just like to spend a few moments highlighting the overall satisfaction question that we asked clients. Using a 10-point scale, where 1 indicates that the client is completely dissatisfied and 10 indicates that the client is completely satisfied, you can see here not only the average score out of 10 for all of the responses, but also the range of the scores that are given. The first thing that you will notice is that there is a significant majority of clients who have given a score of either 9 or 10. However, we can also see a smaller minority of clients here have given relatively lower scores. When providing a score for overall satisfaction, all clients were asked to give a reason behind this score. And on the right hand side of this chart, you can see the themes that were identified from the comments given on the back of the score. When considering the positive comments, the largest themes related to a general happiness with the service that they receive, but also the staff at Transform that they deal with. When considering any negative comments, although the first observation would be that there are significantly less negative comments than positive, we can see that the areas include the level of support that they receive and the speed and the quality of the repairs being the largest areas of dissatisfaction. Let's now take a look at the component parts of the index, and the first slide that we're going to look at considers importance, and specifically which needs of the client are relatively the most important. Here you can see a list of client needs that were identified as important by clients when we spoke to them at the exploratory phase of the research. For the main survey, we wanted to understand which of these important needs were relatively most important to the client. And using a rating of 1 to 10, where 1 indicates that the need is not important at all, and 10 indicates that the need is very important, asking this question of all of the factors allows us to calculate an average rating out of 10 for all of the factors. Doing this gives us 2 conclusions. Firstly, safety and security of their home is relatively the most important need of clients, followed closely by the helpfulness of staff at Transform and being treated as an individual. Now, despite the fact that repairs to the home being completed quickly is relatively speaking the least important factor, the second conclusion is that all of these factors that you see here are relatively important to the client. Now let's take a look at these factors again, but this time applying scores for their satisfaction with them. Again, you can see the factors sorted in the order of their importance. This time what we did was ask clients to give a score between 1 and 10, where 1 indicates that they are completely dissatisfied and 10 indicates that they are completely satisfied. And doing this, we can now understand which of these important factors have the highest and lowest scores of satisfaction. When considering where clients are most satisfied, it is with the helpfulness of staff at Transform and them treating clients as an individual. And relatively speaking, they are least satisfied with the speed of the repairs being completed on their home. Now, improving satisfaction in both the short, medium and long term is all about doing your best at what matters most to your clients. And having both satisfaction scores and importance ratings allows us to understand where we are, relatively speaking, least meeting those important needs that the clients have. The blue bar that you see indicates the rating of importance, and the red bar directly underneath indicates the score of satisfaction. And the bar on the right hand side indicates how much the satisfaction score is lower than the rating of importance, and by how much. Although the bigger that gap is not necessarily always the bigger the concern, what is key here is that the bigger the gap, the more we are not meeting the need in the eyes of the client. And for this survey, safety and security of the home, Transform handling any issues effectively, and repairs to the home being completed quickly are the 3 largest gaps. In other words, where we are least meeting the need in the eyes of the client. And it's these 3 key areas where, if appropriate action is taken, Transform would expect to see an increase in the overall satisfaction of clients moving forward. However, it's not just about taking action. It's about taking appropriate and targeted action. And to give further insight into what that action looks like, we can draw on the comments that we received when we asked clients to score their level of trust in Transform. In a similar way to the overall satisfaction question, we've been able to look at the client comments when considering trust. First of all, clients that trust Transform talk about the level of support that they receive and the helpfulness and approachability of staff. When looking at client comments for customers who score 7 and 8 out of 10, although a relatively smaller group, we can see that repairs and providing more support can play a part in increasing the levels of trust that clients have at an overall level. And in the same way, we can also see that the way that Transform handles problems, listens to clients and provides more support, are not only areas where clients don't trust Transform, but they also reinforce the actions that are needed moving forward. Not just to improve the levels of trust, but also to improve the overall levels of satisfaction with Transform. So that's the end of this short roundup of the results from this year's Client Satisfaction Survey. And I hope that you found the information informative and interesting. Thank you very much.